Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm JP Tong, and welcome to today's program, Detox Your Mind. Today, I will be talking about forgiving others. Forgiving others. It is a topic that I feel is uh, very important if we want to detox our mind, and I will explain why. Because, well, number one, is that when we find it very difficult to forgive, it actually it does not serve us, and it doesn't give us the clarity of the mind that we would like, and it will be a huge stumbling block for us who would like to have some peace, happiness, and joy in our life. That's why learning how to forgive and understanding the significance and what are the steps that we can take to forgive is very important. Okay, so what is forgiving others about? Okay, hi Agnes, hi Sharon, Lily, Nancy, Kirsten, thanks for joining. So forgiveness is a huge topic because I do meet a lot of people, and there are many people who find it very difficult to forgive others. Very difficult. And it is never easy, never easy. And usually, when you say forgiving others, why is it necessary to forgive others? Well, if you think about it, it's because of a certain traumatic experience that you gone through with another person. So because of that trauma that you experience, and you find it very difficult to let go and to forgive. So that's one. And if it's not something traumatic, it can be in small doses, very small doses, whereby you are reminded that you are anything but lack of, anything but lack of, and it eats into you as the years go by. As the years go by, and it develops usually with either you went through a traumatic experience or not traumatic, but small bite-sized experiences whereby you are being put in a position that you experience that you are not either not good enough or that you don't fit in, you're excluded, and you're not worthwhile. That will somehow eat into our psyche. It eats into us, and over time, there will be some sort of anger that will grow inside of us, and it will manifest into other things, resentment. Um, some will even go into denial, thinking that because the person does not know how to handle it, either you're in denial, angry, resentment, all these is because it is a way for that person to deal with it, to deal with it. So what I'm going to share with you is something that will be more effective to deal with all these issues. And forgiving is actually a very powerful way of doing this. Okay, so what is forgiving? Forgiving others for what they have done to you is not saying, yes, what you have done is right. So you are not supporting their wrongful act. You're not. Okay? You're not pardoning what they have done. You're not. And it doesn't show that you are weak. It's not that either. It's not that. Okay? So to forgive, it's about healing yourself. It's about healing yourself more so than to say that, okay, I accept all the wrongful deeds that you've done, to me, I accept. That's not what what forgiving is all about. So having said that, so when we forgive, we are actually forgiving the experience, the event that happened. Whatever that has happened, and it is very, very wrong. Either that experience was on an emotional level or even on a physical level. The trauma perhaps was physical. Okay? So, because of that experience, and we will try to play it over and over again, what happened? Over and over and over again, what happened? And trying to make sense of it. And the most of the time, it's very difficult to make sense of it if you have not studied about human psychology, how the mind works, and so on and so forth. So as a result of that, and you keep playing and you keep playing and you keep playing and you keep playing, and over time there's this anger in you, and a lot of questions will arise. Why me? Why is this person treating me like this? Why? Am I not good enough? Is there something wrong with me? Why is it always me? Is it because of my astrology? Is it because I'm not good enough? So all these questions will surface as a result. And whatever your questions may be, it actually creates all this emotional turmoil in you. And remember how I explained, when we have all these negative emotions that arise, and it actually snowballs into anger, resentments, it will actually cloud your clarity of the mind. It will cloud it, and everything that you do will be, or everything that you do, or everything that you perceive will be through the lens of that mixed emotion in yourself, that mixed emotion. And you actually replay that, you trap yourself into this replaying or rerunning of the experience. And there's no way out. That's what you think. There is no way out. And that is a trap. That is a trap. That is a trap. And this trap, you may think, oh, it's okay, I hate this person, or I hate the situation, I hate this community, whatever it is that you are not okay with, that creates this kind of rage in you. And if you let it keep going on, what you're actually doing is this: you are allowing the trauma, that traumatic experience, to be replayed. You're torturing yourself over and over and over and over again. Although the perpetrators, or the people who inflict such an experience to you, have stopped. So we take over, and we actually continue that torture in us. We continue. So that itself does not work. It does not work. It doesn't help you ultimately, and you find it very, very difficult to find any sort of peace and happiness. Because why? Let me explain. And you can think back. There may be similar experiences that will trigger it. And when it triggers that raw nerve in you, either you blow up, you're very unhappy. So again, like I said, the rage in you can be the more aggressive type, or it can be a more passive type, okay, whereby you have this internal rage, and you just go further and further and further away from reality, and you literally escape internally. So your mind will be elsewhere, because that is the way that you handle the situation. That's the way. So many people will try to handle it differently. So Oh, and even some who actually suppress the feeling. Yeah. So I know of people because it was such a traumatic experience that they just don't want to talk about it. Um, they don't want to deal with it. They actually forgot about it. They It's a total shutdown of that part of their life. Total shutdown. And to talk about it, it's even more traumatic because why? It's suppressing, years of not wanting to confront, confront that experience and heal from that experience and heal from that experience. Okay? So it's not easy. So if you are finding it very difficult to forgive, okay, and you know, you can tell people, yeah, I've forgiven, but if you still feel that rage, it's still okay. As I always say, take baby steps. All right? The healing has to start. The healing has to start because, as we all know, when we have any sort of anger in us, no matter what, it will always be triggered. So if you find that you have spouts of anger, either when people irritate you or when certain things don't turn the way don't happen the way you want it to be, um, and whatever it is, and it always triggers that certain anger in you, you know somewhere deep down is perhaps there is some part of you that you have not forgiven others. Okay, that is one of the possible reasons. I'm not saying that's the only reason, but it is one of the possible reasons that you have not come to terms with whatever that has happened to you and you have not forgiven. Now, this takes time. Okay, and I think there is a question. People say to forgive and forget. My question is, how can we forget something so hurtful, traumatic? What are your thoughts on this? Well, there are some people, like I say, to they will. You see, our mind works in a way that we try to, it's like a survival mode. So when we are not taught how to handle traumatic experiences, you can either go into a denial mode, or you can actually suppress it so much that you actually do forget. Okay, I know people who actually forgot what happened, forgot, and if you even scratch the surface a little bit, they become extremely emotional because it's all the pent up emotions in that person because the person does not know how to handle it. And it's just, it's like a time bomb just waiting to explode. And that is not very healthy. So you don't forget. Ultimately, you don't forget. So for people who kind of forgot, when they actually calm their mind, slowly they'll start to remember, slowly. Yeah, so it is just so if they say they forget, then it is just a way for them to handle it. Okay, there are certain things that we choose to suppress and we forget. All right, so today I'm going to share with you a more effective way of taking baby steps to heal. That's most important, is to heal. So how do we do this now? When we forgive, we are actually telling ourselves that we deserve to heal. We deserve the peace and we deserve that joy in us. We deserve it. And when we forgive, we also make sure that it does not happen to us again. Okay? And that is the first step to healing. Do I deserve to be happy? Do I deserve to find that joy back that I used to have? Do I deserve it? If you do, if you feel that you do, that's a good start. Okay? Now, then you think back, what happened? What happened? Take it one step at a time. one step at a time, because again, because it's either very traumatic whereby you do not want to deal with it, or it's over a span of many, many years. Nothing traumatic. There was nothing traumatic. It was just over a span of many years, whereby you were given this idea that you're not good enough. Maybe you were sidelined due to racism, due to due to gender reasons, uh, due to many, many other reasons that you were actually ostracized and sidelined. Okay, so whatever the reasons may be, but the message that you get inside of you is that you just don't fit and you don't belong and you're not good enough. So over time, you develop that rage. So it's the same thing, and you find it very difficult to forgive people who actually are either racist because you have experienced some sort of racism, or any kind of gender issues, and so on and so forth. Okay, so those can happen, and some people really find it very difficult to forgive. So the forgiveness is not about forgiving them per se, but it's to forgive that experience, to forgive that event, to forgive, to say that, you know what, whatever has happened. There's no rhyme or reason. It has happened to me. I happen to be there, and I experienced it. So I forgive that experience. It's enough. I have to let go and I have to move on. Yes, it was not correct. It was not right, but I deserve to be happy, and I will make sure that it will not happen to me again. It will not. So I forgive that event, and I let go. And I let go. And you do this one step at a time. One step at a time. Whatever anger that you have, why me? You see, when we contemplate and we go and we actually think deeper and deeper and deeper, why is it that we're still holding to that experience, that emotion that is eating into us so badly, and we refuse to let it go? So why is it that we're still holding on? And this is something we need to ask ourselves. Okay, it will vary from person to person to person. It will vary, and you have to ask yourself: does it help? Does it help me if I keep holding on, and repeating that cycle, and I keep experiencing that hurt because I keep replaying and keep asking why this happened, why me, why does this person do this to me, or why does this situation happen to me, why? All right, things happened. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It happened, and it was very unfortunate that you were there. It's not right, but you experienced it. So the only way is to let go and not let it repeat. Not let it repeat. Okay, do you have any questions so far? Hi, Agnes. I wonder, I forgive or I always accept the comment made is due to my mistakes, even though not. Maybe at this point of view, he is right, I am wrong. So I'm not sure what your question is, Agnes. You may want to be more clear with your question. Faith Hill, hi Faith. How to make sure it won't happen to us again because we can't control others' action? Well, if you see signs of it happening to you, then quickly leave. Quickly leave, right? Because now that you are you have more experiences in life, and if you see signs of it, just leave. Physically leave. All right. If you have if you have studied more about how the mind works, if you practice some sort of mindfulness training, it will help. It will help you observe. It will help you be more mindful of other people's actions, which are beyond your control. And if you do not know how to deal with it, then just physically leave and that's how you deal with it. Okay? Sharon, forgive and let go makes more sense. Once we let go, we can move on. Yes, we can. That is why mindfulness training is actually very, very beneficial because mindfulness training, as I've always said, allows you to learn how to control your mind. Okay, that's one. When you can learn to control your mind, it means you can actually control what you focus on. So if you're going to focus on more positive things in your life, and and instead of allowing your mind to drift by itself, which it always does, to keep replaying that traumatic experience, and you find it that it's totally out of control. So and it drags on for year after year after year after year after year, and it eats into you after a while. So that's why mindfulness training is so important. And and when we focus or when we do any sort of mindfulness training, it actually helps us. It helps us to ground ourselves, to have the mind calm. Once the mind is calm, and when the emotions are and you're not focused on the emotions, you have a much clearer mind in order to slowly take one step at a time to forgive what happened. To forgive what happened. Okay? Forgiving what happened doesn't mean you agree and you agree with what has happened. It does not. It doesn't mean that it is your fault. It does not. Okay? People who find it difficult to forgive, sometimes they may think that it is their fault, that they actually created, that they actually was at fault for for actually creating this kind of traumatic experience. Somehow, for some people, it will point back to them. Okay, so when we forgive, you whatever happened has happened. You forgive what has happened, and always tell yourself you are not at fault. And you take it one day at a time. One day at a time. Okay? So, do we have any questions so far? Now, this is a very profound topic, and it may strike a raw nerve for some of you. And as you contemplate and remember what has happened, you will definitely be very emotional. You will. That is why when we do our mindfulness training on a daily basis, you will have that strength and resilience to hold your mind and focus on looking back at that experience, allowing that experience to arise and go instead of having it all locked up. Okay? And after a while, when the emotions come and go, you become lighter and lighter and lighter. But take it one step at a time. One step at a time. Some people might find it very, very difficult. If it is too difficult for you, then I would advise you to actually seek for professional help, whereby the therapist will actually guide you one step at a time. One step at a time. And through that process of forgiving that event, that experience, you will become lighter and lighter and lighter. And as a result, your mind will be much clearer and you will experience that peace and joy once again. Okay? Let's see, what are your questions? Agnes says, will make my question clearer when in a workshop. Sure, okay, that's fine. Kristen Lin, hi Kristen. Most importantly is dealing with the subconscious mind. Well, when you do mindfulness training, you will actually start to tap into your subconscious mind. Okay? your awareness is heightened and you will actually start to be mindful of what's happening in your subconscious mind. And that's what happens. All right, and that is why in the workshop, after this program, I have a workshop from 9:45 p.m. onwards, Malaysian time, and I will actually walk you through uh, the contemplative method, whereby I'll walk you through step by step by step to actually start explaining to you how to do this so that when you're on your own, you can actually do it again and again and again. And that's how you start healing. That's how you start healing. So for those of you who would like to join me in the workshop, do send your email, which is on the caption, and you'll be able to get a link on Google Meet. It is not broadcasted live um, to public, so there is a group whom I will guide, and that's where I will show you how it's done. And you can actually learn and do it after that. All right, and that's how you, when I guide you, you actually, you know, go into your subconscious mind, and you actually find out what is that conversation about, what is actually happening inside of you, and how you can actually reconnect back to that level of your mind and start the healing process. Okay, so if we have no questions today, thank you very much for joining me today. It is a lot to take in, forgiving others. It's a lot to take in. If you do have any questions after you have watched this show, do drop me your questions at the comment section, and I will answer you. All right. So before we end the show out, there are some sponsors whom I would like to thank. And today's sponsor is Lam Kok Tuen and Family. May all participants achieve inner peace. Second sponsor is Anonymous Dedication, dedicated towards all beings' liberation from suffering and attainment of compassion, wisdom, and true happiness. And the third sponsor is Anonymous as well. Dedication, may all sentient beings have happiness, free of suffering, attachment, and anger. So thank you very much for sponsoring today's program. And again, with your contribution, it will help to sustain our online programs that Kechara brings to everyone, and especially during this lockdown, where a lot of people are feeling the pressure and the stress because of this pandemic. And it is always very good to understand how our mind works. And from there, regardless of what happens, we still can maintain some sort of stability and peace and clarity of the mind. All right. So again, if you liked what you have seen so far, please share with your friends and family on your Facebook page, because you never know who will benefit from this program. All right. So on that note, take care, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.